To the shame of Okezie and other Igbo governors without vision, that's opinion, by Obi Nwakama, a professor. Yes, Obi Nwakama is a professor now, so this is his opinion he expressed about the Igbo, the governance structure, the Igbo question, and the Igbo man in the contraption. And so, let's take a deep into what he said. And now, he said that many years, the General Dim Chukwuemeka Odumegwu spoke about the Biafra of the mind. Only a few, I think, understood him well. They say only the deep speak to the deep. But let me attempt here to tease out Dim Ojukwu's prescription. The greatest proof of Igbo survival and aspiration must be to model, wherever only Igbo stands, the ethos of innovation, excellence, ingenuity, and ability that marked the Igbo endeavor in Biafra. We must also use Biafra as a stepping stone to a higher vision of the Igbo place in the world. There is no single proof or evidence today that the Igbo of this generation are capable of transforming any nation to which they lay claim. I have looked, I have studied the Igbo situation, and I have listened to my Igbo kinsmen, and I think something is fundamentally wrong. The Igbo are trapped in a deadening hate, self-pity, and nostalgia. It is a kind of nostalgia that is both defeatist and deadly, because it continues to romanticize the past while the future speeds away. The Igbo cannot wait until they achieve Biafra or a separate nation in order to build and secure Igbo land. Soon after the end of the war, Igbo survivors of the war girded their loins, and embarked on the work of restoration. With singular grit, they revived the economy of the East, and by 1979, just 9 years after the end of the war, we are ready to take on the rest of the nation again. We, their children, are a disgrace to the spirit of those men and women. The Igbo are today a beggarly nation of impotent, lacrimal people now weeping about marginalization and waiting for Nigeria to collapse or let them go so that they will go and make something of themselves. This is an overindulged generation. The last of the Igbo are old and dying. The current Igbo are inferior Igbo. They are just waiting for Godot. Now, you say, the only time the Igbo will work is if power remains in the south. I think this is too simple. Take a look around you. Where are those Igbo men and women? Which Igbo today have the sagacity of Zeke, or the courage of Okpara, Mbakwe, or Ojukwu, the capacity of Ojike or Okibo, the fierce pride and stabilizing force of the old Igbo women, the organizational acumen of an RBK Okafo, the selfless pride of those Igbo of the last generation who always rose to the occasion when the Igbo summoned them to great causes, including giving their widows might without question for as long as they, Igbo, have said. Now, what am I trying to say? Before I lose you, is that the Igbo have left the land, and the land has left the Igbo. There is incoherence, and an incoherent people cannot run an independent nation. Simple. Bring proof to me that the Igbo have turned the Igbo land into an oasis of prosperity different from elsewhere in Nigeria, and I shall agree that the current Igbo know exactly what they are saying. There is no Igbo state with a budget that is not bigger than the budget of the Republic of Ghana. Indeed, put together, the budget of all these states in Igbo land is bigger than the national budget of the 10 West African states. What have we done with it in terms of rebuilding public services, creating livable cities, developing new infrastructure, developing the Igbo world? The North or the West has never run down our schools. They did not dismantle the government colleges at Umahi, Owerri, Afikpo, and the Queen School at Enugu. They did not destroy our hospitals or primary schools. They did not stop us from building our cultural infrastructure, community centers, recreational centers, or building up our libraries, or public parks, or city centers, or trunk B and C federal roads. They did not destroy our civil service. They did not stymie the growth of our cities. They did not forbid the Igbo from creating strategic means of employing their greatest resource, their highly trained manpower, and using them to create a powerful regional economy that would continue to startle West Africa. The North or West did not say we should not build an efficient trans-regional transport metro system by jointly developing the old Oriental lines that would create a network of contacts all over the East and ease the strategic movement of people, or take advantage and rebuild and expand the rail system that connects Port Harcourt, Aba, Umahi, Okezie, Ovim, Afikpo, Enugu to Hamofu. Even if the rail system is a federal project, there has never been a consortium of the Igbo states and consortium of investors that have mounted pressure to force the federal to hands off the Eastern Rail System to be run as a regional terminus. We have never made the argument. Mbakwe threatened in 1981 that if the FGN, that's the federal government, did not build an airport in Owerri, he would mobilize and build one. He did it. He threatened that if they did not build the petrochemical plant in Izombe, he would build one by 1984. The land for the construction of the Imo petrochemical plant was already cleared when the soldiers struck on the last day of 1983. When Mbakwe arrived at Government House, Owerri, in 1979, the three major cities in Old Imo, Owerri, Aba, Umuahia, still had houses operating bucket latrines, and the cities still employed night soil men, Ndi Obrunsi, and ran waste landfills. The first statewide public safety and hygiene law passed under the Mbakwe administration gave every landlord and household in these cities 4 months and a tax rebate to change the infrastructure from the bucket system to the water system, failure of which the houses would be marked as public health hazard zones. This was fully accomplished in 3 months. By 1982, there was a marked upsurge and population shift as more Igbo began to leave Lagos and other places to return to Owerri and invest and settle. Nobody told them to return. The conditions were simply made amenable. By 1984, Igbo businessmen, particularly in the north, were moving their money and opening accounts with the Imo State Progress Bank, and the capital was growing for both accessible credit and for capital borrowing for infrastructural development in the East. I point this to simply suggest that there is nothing the Igbo wish to accomplish in Nigeria that anyone can stop. If the Igbo hold down their lines, but we have deceived ourselves for too long. We have now made Nigeria into the convenient excuse for our own failures and self-indulgence. Now there is a man called Omokakalu. He gave the first 100,000 naira as a donation towards the Imo State Airport Appeals Fund in Owerri in 1981 and 1982. There is not a single plaque to honor this man's gesture at that airport. It will not be the federal government that will do it. It will be the initiative of those who put value to memory in Igbo land. But in the Imo, Abia, Ebonyi, Anambra, Enugu divisions that now pervade the Igbo mind, no one will remember. This is no recipe for a people moving towards transformation. Let me now tell this whole truth. No one is to blame for the Igbo predicament but Ndi Igbo. Those who wrestle with Allah, the earth goddess, often forget that no one has ever lifted the earth. Allah Igbo is the earth. No one can lift the earth, period. The Igbo of this generation are wrestling with the earth, left to them by their ancestors, and they are busy blaming everyone else for their condition. We who have done the Ihe Nzere should tell the truth, or may our tongues cleave to our gums. We have said it. Professor Obi Nwakamma. Yes, Professor Obi Nwakamma is trying to elucidate about the Igbo predicament, and we're talking about marginalization. He said it's a thing of the mind. But one thing is sure, in a federal system that Nigeria is running, the centralized government, talking about this fake federalism, you see, that everything is concentrated at the center. You see, the federal government taking about 52% of the monthly, allocations, so, and allocating to states and the federal government, the local government, just about, the 48%. Yes, 48%. And they're taking about 52 or even 56% of the monthly revenue, yes, allocating to states, 36 states, and the 774 local government, of which majority are in the north. Majority of the states are in the north. majority of the local government and the north. So with this system of centralized government, every month you go to Abuja and collect money, the component units. So the federal government can decide to underdevelop some region and decide to develop others and relegate others. It's possible. After all, this Sambakwe airport we're talking about today was constructed as international cargo airport. But when Abacha was commissioning it, he commissioned it as a local airport, not international airport. So these are the things. Is it the government of Imo State that will say it must be international airport? No, it's the federal government that will say, put the standard, because we are on a federal, a centralized system. Yes, we have NAMA, we have NCAA. They are regulators. Imo State government is not regulating the aviation or flight operations. You see, so these are the things that we are talking about, and that's why to have decided to pull the trigger by taking the bull by the horn and saying the Southeast must take a decisive stand. The Old Eastern region must move out of this contraption by referendum, not by war, but not by fight, not by using gun, but by peaceful negotiation, by referendum, which United Nations and the United States and the United Kingdom and other world powers will come and do justice to it. That's what we are saying. You see, the governors have failed. The Southeastern politicians have failed. The Igbo politicians have failed woefully. We're not talking about them. They have failed woefully. So if you are talking about them, you are wasting your time. We are talking about the people of the Southeast, the Igbos. We are egalitarian. We are still the people of the Biafrans. We are still the people, the offspring of those who fought and stood, their ground to defend their motherland, from 1967 to 1970. We are still the offspring of those who are, in the forefront of the civil service, the military, in business, during the colonial and the post-colonial era. We are still the offspring of those who fought and stood, and waged a war with their pen and papers, with their intellect and their wit, to make sure that the United Kingdom, that's Britain, allow Nigeria